This is Warren Vanderhill with the Center for Middletown Studies project on Muncie's service providers, and today it's my great privilege to be speaking with Loretta Parsons, who is the Executive Director of the Soup Kitchen of Muncie. And I want to begin by thanking you for your willingness to participate in our project. I'd like to begin by having you tell us about your background, where you're from, where you went to school,
Sure.
and eventually, of course, where I want to get is to when you become the director of the Muncie Soup Kitchen.
Okay. Well, thanks for inviting me to participate in this. I appreciate that. I always like to be able to tell our story and share it with people. My name is Loretta Parsons, and I did grow up here in Muncie. I went to school at Burris all 13 years, graduated in 1967. And I went to work eventually for Bob Corporation. I was in the consumer products division, which got spun off into what was called Altrista. And then eventually we became Jarden. And when I retired, I was able to retire early. I retired after 30 years there. And I was in purchasing and logistics and that area of consumer products. So in 2005, when I retired, I was searching for something part-time to do because I was very fortunate to retire early. And I did a number of things, part-time situations. But then through some work at my church, I became to realize that there might be something that a group of us that are single by one way or the other could get together on Sunday afternoon and benefit other people. Sunday afternoon can be kind of lonely if you're single, and my husband had passed away in 2004, so there were some other widowers, and just folks that divorced or not married, ever been married. So we came together, about 15 of us, and I approached the Soup Kitchen about allowing us to come down the last Sunday of the month and serve what we called a Sunday supper. So they granted us that privilege, and we came down, brought the food, cooked it. We'd make anywhere from chicken and noodles to sloppy joes or whatever. Sometimes in the summer we did hot dogs and made it kind of like a picnic thing. So we did that for about 6 years, the last Sunday of the month. And I got to thinking when this first started that it would be a good idea if I came down here and volunteered, so the folks could get to know me and see my face, and they'd feel comfortable coming on Sunday afternoon to eat, because that was a little different. They just served Monday through Friday, and Sundays the Soup Kitchen was closed. So I started volunteering, and then in 2009, the director asked me if I would like to become a cook, a part-time cook. That was a paid position. The cook they had wanted to leave and find a full-time job. So I said, sure, I'll give it a try. So a couple of days a week I was the cook. And that went along pretty well. And then in 2011, the director resigned, and the board asked me if I would be acting director, and in 2012 I became the executive director.
Okay. How have the services that the Soup Kitchen offers changed over the past, let's say, 2 decades?
Yeah, we are in our 24th year. We'll soon celebrate 25 next spring. And I would say, just from the history that I know, when the kitchen started out, it was a result of some of the folks seeing people digging for food out of trash bins. Garnet Wentz and Father Grady at St. Mary's in particular. So they got a few people to help them out. They formed a board and got a director going, and she was the one that was also cooking down here. And they provided, I think, a sack lunch was one of the primary things they wanted to provide, and also something hot to eat, whether that was a cup of soup or an actual, meal, like maybe spaghetti or chicken and noodles or an egg bake even. And so that's kind of how it got started. And I think the first time they told me they served 10 people when they opened. So that was in 1994.
Yeah.
Fast forward that
Yeah.
now to 24 years plus, we are averaging 140 people a day, Monday through Friday.
Mhm.
We start cooking at 7 and we start serving at 9:30 and we serve till 11.
Okay.
So it has greatly increased in the number
Yeah.
of people that need this service. And then we provide pretty much a full course meal. We
Okay.
have a hot item, we have a vegetable that goes with that. The hot item is usually a protein type item, like some that I have mentioned. And then we provide a vegetable and then maybe a salad, dessert, a fruit possibly.
Mhm.
So we offer that, and then we also still offer the sack lunch.
Okay.
So everyone that comes through our line is getting 2 meals.
Oh, all right, okay. How is the Soup Kitchen's, I guess I'd call it, relationship with its clients changed? Or are these the same people? I mean, you think of people who may have been here 10, 20 years ago, and there might have been 30 or 40 of them. Now you speak of 140. The makeup of those people, how much has that changed?
Just from what I've been told, I think at first it was a lot of homeless men in the beginning. And then that kind of broadened to women that were, on a very restricted
Right.
means that needed a place to find a hot meal.
Right.
And so it sort of grew from that to families that actually come down here. I have been here 13 years, and I today still see some people that were here 13 years ago.
Okay.
So I have a feeling that it's possible they were here before that, even when I started coming
Mhm.
down here to volunteer and
Yeah.
work. So we have seen it change to, like I said,
Yeah.
families coming down, feeling comfortable with this environment to bring their family, and that it is a safe and comfortable place to come.
Mhm.
When school is out, now in our area, the school system does provide a summer feeding program, but that's just been in recent years. So in the summer, we see quite an influx of families with children that would normally be in school during the school days, but in the summer they're not, so they are struggling to make ends meet and bring their whole family down here to
Yeah.
eat. Now with this summer feeding program in place, they can take their kids there, but adults have to pay.
Okay.
So if they come here to the soup kitchen, everybody gets to eat, and
So you
That
don't
happens.
you don't have any real idea whether or not these people are working, have worked, what their employment history
well,
is?
the director before me, she said a lot of these folks are what she would call the working poor.
Okay.
They just can't make ends meet. They may have a couple of part-time jobs or one part-time job or whatever. They just can't
Right.
make ends meet. So they come down here to get a hot meal, and they know they can come every day
Right.
and get at least one hot meal
Yeah.
and a sack lunch to take home with them if they choose to do that. And they don't necessarily have to worry too much about the
Mhm.
food side of things.
Yeah.
And so I think that helps people kind of
Mhm.
relieve
Yeah.
the pressure on them, and maybe they can find something
Mhm.
else to do that day as well, like go seek some medical attention
Yeah,
that
right.
they've been putting off because they're in such a struggle trying to find food,
Yeah.
or maybe go for a
Mhm.
job interview if they can, or whatever. So it's just that
Yeah.
providing that
So
service.
have you found an increase in what I call family units coming?
Yes, I see that. When I first started here, if we hit 75 or 100 people a day, that was a big day.
Okay.
Now we average 140 a day.
Okay.
And there's definitely more family units
Mhm.
involved.
And obviously, anyone who comes gets food.
That's correct. No
Okay.
questions asked.
Right.
They can go through the line one time.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
To shift this a little bit, what would you say, you meet somebody on the street, poses this question, what are the main goals of the Soup Kitchen of Muncie?
Well, that's our main goal, is to
Okay.
feed the hungry without any questions asked. That's it.
Okay. And I guess, playing off that, we've talked a little bit about this, but it's fair to say that that population, if that's the goal of the soup kitchen, the population of people you're serving has changed in the last 20, 25 years.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. There's no way you can make any tie, though, between people who come through your line every day that might have been employed by the large industrial concerns? They might have had jobs at Warner Gear or
Yes.
Muncie Chevrolet or anything like that?
I do know that
Oh,
for a
okay.
fact because they've told me.
Okay.
I worked at Warner
Yeah,
Gear, or I
yeah.
worked at Delco.
Okay.
And now I get, a pension or whatever from them. But, I haven't been able to find
Yeah.
anything else.
So, I mean, it's fair for me to say then that there is a connection
I believe
between
so,
people who used to
yes.
have these well-paying assembly line jobs, UAW jobs, and now those jobs are not there, and this is what they're doing now, whether they're part-time employed or not employed.
Right.
Okay.
I would say there is a connection. How deep that goes and how
Yeah.
the percentage of that, there's no way for me to know, but I just feel from conversations
Okay.
with people that, yeah, I lost this job and
Right.
I do have the ability to get some assistance,
Mhm.
but, whether they were of the age they could draw a pension,
Right.
or maybe in the severance package, they were given some
Okay.
sort of resources, but it's really not enough to make ends meet. And because of the age they were,
Yeah.
they just weren't able
Yeah.
to find another suitable job that would match that kind of income. Now, that's
Right.
not to say that they might
Yeah.
be down at the convenience store, running the cash registers for a
Yeah.
couple of hours a day,
Yeah.
a couple of days a week. That
Yeah.
I couldn't answer completely, but that is a possibility.
Well, you've been at this a long time, so I'm going to throw this big macro question at you. What do you think are the root causes of the problems that these people have in the contemporary Muncie society?
Well, number one is education.
Okay.
I think there is a certain lack of education, or that ability to seek further education. And then also just the hardship that it is just to, go out and try to find employment when you're 55 or 60 years old, and you've been doing this all your life, and now what do I do?
Yeah.
So just to be able to find resources to help you do that.
Okay.
Then I think that I see this spiral that people can get into, whether it's
Okay.
alcohol
Yeah.
to ease their burden, or drugs, and then it's just spirals downward.
Okay.
And so shifting from the older population that I see to the younger population that I see, it's like there's nothing there. They don't have that factory job that they can go and seek out,
Okay.
that paid a decent wage, that you could afford a car and insurance, and get yourself back and forth to work and make enough to feed
Yeah.
you or your family. Now these young folks, if they can't seek more education to fill those jobs that need to be filled, I think they fall into this spiral of drugs and alcohol,
Yeah.
and then it's just like there's just no end to it. It's just a vicious cycle. We have a couple of different, I have learned over the years doing this job, kinds of poverty. There's generational poverty and there's situational poverty. And someone that loses their job, that is definitely a situation that they're struggling with and trying to get themselves out of. Someone that's in generational poverty that's all they've ever known. They've never, the cycle just continues through their family, and they don't have the skill or the education to pull themselves out of that. So you have to provide the help there to show folks that are in both kinds of poverty that there is a possibility, there is a way out.
But so you have clients then that fit in both those categories?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Okay. Have you had any problems finding people to work here? I mean, the question I usually ask, say at the Muncie Mission, is really a staff question. And with you, you're not dealing with staff, but you are dealing with a large number of people who volunteer in one way or another. So I
That's
guess
true.
I would pose the question as, does that present any difficulty for the Soup Kitchen of Muncie?
It can, because it kind of ebbs and flows. It's kind of takes a life
Okay.
on of its own. The volunteers do, and I have 5 days a week that I'm trying to fill,
right.
and each day is different. Each day has its own personality, because usually volunteers just work 1 day a week.
Right.
Monday's my day. That's the day I'm going in
Okay.
every Monday like clockwork.
Okay.
And then someone else's Thursday is their day.
Right.
I have a couple of volunteers that do more than 1 day, but it does ebb and flow because of, obviously, people get sick.
Yeah.
Family things happen, and I'll get a call when I'm down here at 7 and, I can't come in today, and then I turn around and I get another call, well, my car won't start, so those kinds of things
Yeah.
happen. I kind of feel like it's much like what would happen at a school when the teachers start calling in because they can't show up, and it just kind of catches on, and suddenly you've got 3 volunteers and you're trying to feed 140 people. Those things happen, but we do try to avoid it. And then there's days when I might have 12 people in there and we're struggling to find work for everybody to do.
Yeah.
And a volunteer, I respect their time and their willingness to come, and I understand if they come and they're standing around, they get a little frustrated with that. So we try to make sure that we've got things that they can do, but it does ebb and flow,
Right.
and the holidays are coming, and that's always kind of a downtime for
Yeah.
regular volunteers.
Right.
But then I get calls from folks that, hey, can we bring the kids down here, and help for a couple of days? They're out of
Yeah.
school, and we can come with them, and that's always a good thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So but in fairness, it's not been a big problem for
No, it
the
has
Soup
not.
Kitchen.
I have been very fortunate that
okay.
way. There are just dedicated people that there are several volunteers have been here for almost as long as the Soup Kitchen's been
Okay.
here.
Yeah.
And they come, without fail. They're very faithful.
Okay.
And just from that, then other people learn, and, I know so-and-so, and so I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
come down and help out. And folks may come and stay for a couple of weeks. Some may stay
Okay.
for months, or some may stay for years. Just whatever they can give us is very much appreciated. But I have anywhere from about 40 to 45 volunteers that work in and out of 5 days a week.
Okay.
So, yeah.
What's your two-part question? What's your budget and what are your sources of funding?
Okay, we are running right at about, our budget is about $100,000 a year, close to that. We are funded by donations, and we also have a couple of really big money-making events.
Right.
Coming up in March this next year is our annual dinner that we have.
Right.
And this year it is going to be at the Horizon Convention
saw that.
Center. We're celebrating our 25th year. So we'd like everyone to get on board with that.
Yeah.
And our tickets will go on sale in Eventbrite in January. So you can catch that information on our website and on Facebook as well.
Featuring the world's most ornate cakes that I've ever seen in my life.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, we have cake auction, we have an art auction, and this year we're adding a nice silent auction to go along with it.
How about
and
grant-
that
how
all
about- yeah.
raises
No, go
money.
on. How about grants?
Yes, we do write grants,
Okay.
and
You write grants?
actually, we have a president on our board right now. She's a great grant writer. That's Claire
Claire
Chateau.
Chateau, yeah, I know
Yes. And so we write grants,
Okay.
and we also get donations
Okay.
on a regular basis. And then we have an annual appeal. That's our other big money-making event that happens in the fall. And we've tried Giving Tuesday, which is kind of brand new to people.
Right.
It's an online giving
Right.
opportunity the Tuesday after Thanksgiving. So with all of these sources, that's kind of how we make our
Okay.
money. We also are able to apply for FEMA funds,
Oh, okay.
but that doesn't necessarily mean we'll get them.
Right.
We are deemed an emergency feeding site,
Okay.
so that's why we can apply for them.
Okay.
So with all of that put together, that's how we try to
Okay.
make our
Has
money.
that changed a lot in the last, say, decade or two?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I would say so.
Okay.
One of the things that has changed is we have a little bit more personnel expenses,
Right.
and we have a little bit more in the way of just, upkeep, cleaning, that kind of thing.
Okay.
That we have to do on a regular basis
Okay.
daily. So we do pay someone to help us clean every day and
Okay.
keep the place in ship shape and organized, and this all comes in compliance with the Board of Health.
Okay.
We follow the Board of Health regulations just like a restaurant would.
You're leading to my next question.
Aha.
How are you impacted by local, state, and federal regulations?
Right, and that's the answer. We follow them. That's the bottom line. The Board of Health inspects us just like they would a regular restaurant 2 times a year, and we apply for a permit, and we display that permit, and we have to have Serve Safe certification. At least one person on the staff has that. I have that.
Okay.
And then also to kind of coincide with the question you ask about funding,
Right.
I am able to purchase food from Second Harvest Food
Okay.
Bank, but I have to meet all that criteria
Right.
to be able to do that. And yes, I do have to purchase it, but it's a lot cheaper than if I had to go to the grocery store.
Okay. Right.
So that
Yeah.
helps a lot. And we, have to be inspected by the Board of Health according to their rules and regulations, and be ServSafe certified.
Okay.
Plus, through Second Harvest, I can and have applied for the commodities program that's run by the USDA.
Right.
And Second Harvest oversees that in this area. And I comply with all those rules and regulations, and am able to get a good amount of food free on a monthly basis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, as long as I follow those guidelines. So that helps
Yeah.
our food dollar. Right now, we are able to hold our cost at $1.16 per meal. So that's pretty,
Yeah.
pretty big deal
Mhm.
when you think about the food we
Yeah.
serve. We serve a nice meal,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Do you, I know the answer to the question, first time I've done this with any of my interviewees in this project. Do you have any connections to faith communities in Muncie?
I absolutely do, yes.
Should I raise my hand? Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, I am a member of College Avenue
Right.
United Methodist Church over on College and Main and that whole block
Right,
right
yeah.
there. I've been there since 1988.
I was thinking, I guess, more from my perspective of the group of people that every few weeks prepare a meal at the First Presbyterian Church. And I was wondering if there are other churches that regularly prepare meals for you.
Well, College Avenue doesn't prepare meals at the
Okay.
time, but they do sack lunches.
Okay.
First Pres, yes, they are very gracious in helping
Yeah.
us with this. They produce a meal, and they also do sack
Yeah,
lunches as
yeah.
well.
Right.
So that has been a great benefit. We are connected to the Knights of Columbus.
Oh, okay.
They prepare sack lunches for us, and then we also get sack lunches from several other churches
Okay.
too, like the Destiny
Right.
Christian Church.
Yep. I know that,
And
yeah.
we have a long-time standing giver of sack lunches from St. Joe
Okay.
out of Winchester.
Yeah.
They have been giving us sack lunches faithfully once a
Huh.
month since the Soup Kitchen started.
So, I mean, do you actively seek out other churches to participate in that project?
Sure, I mean,
Okay.
we put that out there as
Okay.
on our social media, since we've become so much more active
Right.
on social media. We put that out there about, hey, get your group together at
Okay.
church and help us with this, or organizations as well, kind of like the Knights, they're
Yeah.
an organization. And we've got some women's clubs that do this, and Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts,
Yeah.
youth groups. It's a great youth group activity.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it is something you cultivate. I mean, it's
Oh,
not-
yes,
I mean, I
absolutely.
often wondered how I got involved in this, because all of a sudden I started doing this and I had no idea how First Presbyterian got involved in it, nor did I know if there were other congregations in Muncie that did the same thing.
Yeah,
So it just happens over time.
it does. It kind of,
Yeah.
I think, kind of rolls along, you know.
Okay.
Someone from this church talks to a friend that goes to another church, and they go, well, why can't we do that at our church? And then they take it back, and
Yeah.
everybody says, oh, that'd be a great thing to do. The Unitarian Church, they have been very faithful to us.
Okay.
We have volunteers from that church that come on a weekly basis, and they also do sack lunches.
Okay.
So, and we do have some groups from different churches that come
Yeah.
and volunteer. I mean, people, you know, they've gotten a friend here, friend there at their church, and they come on a certain day and help cook or whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I thought of this question a couple interviews ago. I probably should have thought of it when I did the first one with Lindsay Arthur and Habitat. But if I go back and ask everybody this question, I would, but I can't. So I'm going to ask you, and I'll have 4 or 5 of these where this question will apply. The question is, what do you think the Soup Kitchen of Muncie is going to be like 20 years from now? I mean, it doesn't have anything to do with research because it's entirely speculative, but I'm kind of intrigued by it.
Yeah. Well, 20 years from now, it would be nice if we didn't need a soup kitchen.
Okay.
That would be the prize above all prizes.
Okay.
But I think there will always be hungry people.
Okay.
I mean, Jesus said that in the
Right,
Bible. We
right.
will always have the poor.
Among us.
And yeah,
Yeah.
and I think for those that can help, it's just a necessity that we need to do. We need to help those that can't help
Yeah.
themselves or help lift them up
Right.
so they can help themselves. So I think there will always be a need. It may be easier to cook food in 20 years, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Maybe everything will be done in a microwave oven
Right, yeah.
instead of a little
Yeah.
microwave box. Who
Yeah.
knows what technology will bring us? I'm sure it
Yeah.
will change and it will evolve, but I do not think it will go away.
Okay. Well, I mean, I was thinking, we were speaking before the interview began today
Yeah.
of the Muncie of the years right after the Second World War, when I always mention his name because he was really important in getting me involved in this project. Hurley Goodall said to me, Warren, you don't understand. There was a really good, well-paying job on every corner.
That's true.
And to a large degree, there was. When you had that kind of Muncie, the demand for a Soup Kitchen of Muncie certainly couldn't have been the same that it is now.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. I agree, but
Yeah.
I don't, and who knows? We may eventually have a job on every corner again,
Wow.
depending on what that could be, where
Right.
technology leads us.
Not those kind of jobs.
Nah, but
Yeah.
technology is going to lead us.
Yeah,
But
right.
the big need for it, as we see it right now, could go down.
Right.
But I do think it will always be there. There
Yeah.
will be always someone that needs
Yeah.
a hot meal and a place
Yeah.
to come
Yeah.
and get out of the cold or get out of the heat or whatever.
So when we're dealing with the Muncie of the now and not all this back and forward stuff, the demand placed on what you do here at the Soup Kitchen of Muncie is only going to increase.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it.
Yeah.
Because, just like I was talking, 75, 100,
Right.
when I started 13, 12 years ago, that was a big day, and now
Right.
we're up to 140.
Yeah.
So, the demand for food and the resources it takes to put that together is going to grow. Just in that time frame, adding,
Sure.
staff to be
Yeah.
able to clean the place and meet those standards that are set by the Board of Health, that adds to the dollars it takes to
Right.
make this function. And so,
When I think of the Soup Kitchen of Muncie and the wonderful work that it does, Are there some other places where people who are your clients can go to
Yes.
get similar kinds of nourishment?
There are, well, as you mentioned, the mission, they do
Yeah.
a lunch every
Right.
day. We see several churches that provide meals, community meals on the weekends.
Right.
And so there are places to go on the weekend to get food. But we are here every day at 7 in the
Right.
morning, and people go through the line and no questions asked.
Okay.
So
Yeah. You know, we're, again, in our previous to this interview conversation, you mentioned as one of your needs, a need for some security. And I wish
Yeah.
you'd comment just a little bit on why
Sure.
that is the case. And
well, as time has evolved, we share this space down here. We pay rent where we're located, but in the corner of the hallway is Meridian Services. They have a drop-in center, and they pay rent for the space they have. And they always had a policeman in
Okay.
there when their caseworkers would be
Right.
in there to meet clients, just for protection
Okay.
and just to have that presence. As time evolved, if I needed that officer, I just went over and asked him to step
Oh, okay.
out, and he would come and help us. Well, as time has gone on and we've gotten bigger with more people down here,
Right.
and the strife that society's in these days with drugs and alcohol usage, for one reason or another, folks can get sometimes out of hand. And so we are champion here for a safe community.
Okay.
And by having an officer here present from the time we come in until we leave, just lets people know that we are serious about keeping it safe down here. And we want this place to be a community place where people can come and commune with each other, and families feel safe bringing everyone down here to eat.
Okay.
And it also keeps the staff safe and the volunteers safe as well, not only
Right.
our guests, but those
Right.
people too, as we ebb and flow in and out of here. And as you can imagine, we open the door at 7.
Right.
Folks come in, especially homeless folks that have been out all night. They're cold right now, or in the summer, they're probably hot or just want a place to get refreshed, and they can come in, get a cup of coffee, and sit down and relax for a while before we serve the meal at 9:30. Then when 9:30 comes, we've got an influx of folks coming in, and folks can come in here and eat, or they can take the meal with them. That's entirely their choice. But that's the average 140 people that we're shuffling through in an hour and a half.
A lot of
That's
people.
a lot of people,
Yeah.
and a lot of things can happen in that time frame. And we do have a behavior policy code, and we adhere by that. And it all does come down to behavior, and that's what the policeman's here for,
Okay.
to keep us safe
Yeah.
and make sure we can just all get along.
When you hear so much about the scourge of the drug epidemic of the last decade or so, has that played out in the client base that you have coming
Absolutely,
here? Okay.
absolutely, yes.
Everybody else has said the same thing, but I mean,
Yeah.
that certainly has been something that's impacted
Right.
you.
Yeah.
Okay. How has that
I just
impacted
think
you?
it's desperation. I
Okay.
just see it on their people's faces. And alcoholism, too,
Okay.
is a big issue as well. I think people are just in despair.
Right.
I really do. And somehow that eases their pain, but for just a short time. And then, then they're
Right.
worse, not better. And then, so then they seek more of the same thing, just to numb their, I think, despair.
Well, those are the only formal questions I have, but at the end of our interviews, I always give the person I'm speaking with an opportunity to add anything that we might not have covered, anything else you would like to add to the story of very successful story, the Soup Kitchen of Muncie.
Well, I appreciate that. Yes, I just feel very blessed that I am able to be here and able to do this job. I could not do it without the staff I have or the support of the volunteers and the board. So it is a great job. It's probably the best job I've ever had. I just feel that serving other human beings is just a very primary desire that I have to fulfill, and I feel like that this job helps me fulfill that. I kind of sneakingly plugged our dinner, so I'll do that again. March the 16th at the Horizon Convention Center. Tickets will go on sale on Eventbrite on January the 11th, but you can catch more information about the dinner and pictures from last year on our website. It's soupkitchenofmuncie.org. And if you feel like sending an email, info@soupkitchenofmuncie.org. And the phone numbers and everything are right there as well. So please visit our website. See the blog posts that we've put. We are truly trying to tell our story. And then like us on Facebook. Get on Facebook and call us up and like us. And that, again, helps us spread our story. If you like us and share, then we get in that loop on Facebook and people get the word out about us. So we're always looking for donations. We're always looking for volunteers. And we'd love for anyone that's interested to help sponsor the dinner in March.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Our great pleasure.